Your child can be a pathological liar and a narcissist. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I have spent several years working with victims of abuse and parents who have been abused by their own children. I want to respond to this comment. I've been dealing with a pathological liar for the past 8 years. No contact currently, but even harder. My own son is what you're describing. I'm also no contact with him for 2 years. You cannot have anything to do with them, just like what you're describing. So over the years, I've counseled many people on how to go no contact with their children, because unfortunately, there are times when your children can be narcissistic or have narcissistic traits or be very pathological, can be liars, and can be dangerous. This is a thing. And a lot of times this happens when one person marries a narcissist and has children with a narcissist. You know, what will tend to happen is the children that you raise, one or multiple children, will often be a replica of the narcissistic parent. And I've worked with many people, mothers and fathers, who, have dealt with parental alienation, who have, dealt with their children being mean to them, their children, being inconsistent, being lying to them, their children, using them, especially using and abusing them, using them for money, things like that, and just coming around whenever they want something, and having children that are highly, highly, highly manipulative. And entitled. And I've even had to counsel some parents where their children have been so manipulative and entitled that they are now a threat to their own parents. So you have children that can become physically aggressive towards their parents. You have children that can become overly obsessive with their you have children that become overly obsessive about their parents' money and how to get their hands on their parents' money specifically. Because they have it, it should be mine, and I don't want to hear why you're not giving it to me. The only thing I need to know is how I get my hands off of it. And unfortunately, in the prison system, I've also worked with this too, in terms of like children who feel entitled to their parents' possessions or money, and they will go so far as to even kill them or attempt to kill them. So this is a very real thing. And it's not just parents. Sometimes it can be grandparents. Every now and then it's aunts and uncles, but usually aunts and uncles are fewer and far between. But most of the time it's either grandparents or parents or their caregivers by law. And so your child can be your biggest enemy. And unfortunately, it can be difficult for parents to let go, because, if you're a mother, you're a dad, it's like, how do you cope with like letting go of your child? And plus there's so much rhetoric out there around being a bad parent or neglecting your child. But you see it all. I see it all the time with children who actually physically abuse their parents. In some cases, I've actually worked with adult children who have sexually abused their parents, and even minor children as well. I've worked with, when I worked many years ago in a group home for severely and emotionally disturbed children. But yeah, I've seen it all the time, and it happens a lot. And sometimes you have to do it for your own peace of mind. But a lot of times parents have to do it for their own safety. And there's, unfortunately, just like there's shame around, children who let go of their parents for being narcissistic, there's also a lot of shame and a lot of grief around parents having to walk away from their child and having to see their child for who they really are, and not really getting a chance to reconcile, not really getting a chance to live out all the potential that relationship could have. And so it's a very painful thing to have to say goodbye to your own children. But children can be pathological and downright dangerous. And there have been quite a few cases where kids have actually harm their parents or kill their parents. So I understand, the pain of dealing with a pathological child, and especially a child that's a pathological liar. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot once a child gets to a certain threshold. There's not a whole lot that you can, do to turn that behavior around, even if it's therapy and things like that. Once that child gets that psychopathopathy or that sociopathy, they start that compulsive lying, they start that compulsive stealing, they're sexually inappropriate, they're engaging in fraud cases, they're engaging in drinking, drugs, and things like that. Sometimes you, as a parent, there's not anything that you can do, especially when they become of age, because legally you can't do anything. But there's also been parents that even before a child becomes legal, they just can't deal with it. They've got other children in the house. They're sick and tired, or they may be sick. And sometimes parents have been known, and again, it's not true. I don't know if you can do this in every state, but sometimes parents will actually surrender their children to the state or to foster care, especially when they have children that join gangs or get in trouble. Like there's some states where if your child gets in trouble, then the parent goes to jail. So you see that a lot where, parents continue to get in trouble because they can't get a handle on their children. And sometimes it can be a parenting issue, like, but not all the time. Sometimes it's just like, you are a victim of circumstance. You're a single parent. You've done the best you can, and there's nothing else that you could do because there's been too many influences from gang or street or drug culture, or from having a narcissistic parent. My sympathy, my heart goes out to you guys who've had to deal with this. Great comment. Thanks for posting this. I've been meaning to address parents with narcissistic pathological children.